Welcome everyone for our SCG Conquer group. We are excited to have all of you to gather to collaborate our group. We are a group of people. Self means Jyoti Kumar, senior Sitecore specialist, and my co-organizers, Mr. Prabhu Ranganathan, who is a Sitecore architect, Mr. Gautam Iswarmurthy, he is a Sitecore lead. The main purpose of this group is to more than is just gathering. The professional, it is a community. It's built on foundation of collaboration and sharing the knowledge. It's our primary goal to provide the platform to the Sitecore enthusiastic can come together and exchange the ideas, insights, and best practices. That's our main aim to create our group. So today's topic is Sitecore XM Cloud 101, a beginner's guide. So our presenters, Mr. Balaji Kandasamy, is a 3 times Sitecore MEP and practice director at CEI, and Ms. Madhu Anbalagan, who is a Sitecore MEP in 4 times and Sitecore consultant. So I'm just handing over session to Balaji. Thanks, Balaji and Madhu, for providing session to all. You can take over.
Yep, thank you, Ignesh. Let me try to share my screen. You need to give me access.
1 second, I'm providing.
Yep.
Yeah, you can have.
Okay, perfect. I should be able to see my screen now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Madhu, you want to get started?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Welcome to SAG Coimbatore. Thank you for the opportunity, Gautam and Vignesh and Prabhu. So today's session is Sitecore XM Cloud 101 Beginner's Guide. So let's get started. So who we are. Bala, would you like to go?
Yep. Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining. And as always, it's always good to present in the hometown. Thank you for letting us present there. Prabhu, Gautam, and Vignesh. And I'm Sitecore. Sorry. Okay, so I'm a Sitecore Technology MVP, also Coveo and DX MVP, working as a practice director at CEA, mostly focusing on the Sitecore. Back to you, Madhu.
Thank you, Bala. I'm Madhu Anbalagan. I'm a Sitecore MVP for Technology MVP for 5 years and a Coveo MVP. I work as an independent consultant. If your project needs some help or extra any help or anything, feel free to reach out to me. So today's agenda is like we are going to see a lot of XM Cloud and its terminologies, but then so I'll be going through the slides quickly because we'll be focusing on the demo more. We'll have an elaborated demo, so please let me know if I'm going fast. I just wanted to skim through the slides quickly so that we can completely focus on the demo. So what is XM Cloud? And we are going to see what's the difference between XM Cloud and a Plus, and why do we choose it, and its limitations, terminologies, how was our experience, how do we transition from XP to XM Cloud, and what are the trainings available, and how do we do the certification, and we'll see the demo and question and answers. So what is XM Cloud? So we know that the Sitecore has launched the SaaS platform, the self-service from a cloud platform, so that we don't need to do any more upgrades. We all know the upgrade pain points, like how much longer it takes and how many pain points we need to go through. So so this is the one-time one. Once we move from XP or XM to XM Cloud, we still need to maintain certain things, but then majority part they will take care of it. And it's like a headless CMS. And if your solution is already on headless CMS, we can easily migrate. But then there are some certain areas like pipelines and many things we need to take care of it. We'll see in the upcoming slides. So this works as similar as headless CMS with any of the front-end service as an Next.js app or a Angular or React.js, anything you like. And this is not a monolithic solution, so you can mix up the pieces with CDP, personalize, order cloud, however you wanted to put the pieces together. We know that there is no web database because everything you publish goes to the edge. From the edge, we pull the data through the GraphQL to show the content in the front end. So this is basically a major difference, because in our solution, we have a master database, and then when we publish, it goes to the web. But then here, there is no web. It straight goes to the edge, from the edge GraphQL to our front-end solution. So what is XM Cloud and XM Cloud Plus? So XM Cloud Plus was launched in last year around October, like in CirCon, they announced it. So basically, XM Cloud is nothing but equivalent to XP because XM Cloud has some limited capabilities, and with XP, you'll have like full capabilities of search, CDP, connect, and personalize. We will see in a chart that what are the XM Cloud, though it has some capabilities, but it's very limited. We will see in the upcoming slide. So this slide, I mean, this table looks very simple, but then it took us a lot of time to put together, because it's like every day XM Cloud is keep changing because they are releasing the features on a regular basis. So basically, like as of now, the searches, there is no search in XM Cloud, but it has full capabilities. And the analytics, there is some analytics, but it's only limited for 30 days. And if you need it more than that, you need to purchase the CDP. And the integrations and connectivity, there is no Workato, but with XM Cloud Plus, the Connect will by default, it comes into picture. And the personalization, there is some personalization available. It's very basic, but you wanted a full capabilities. You need to purchase the personalized, or you can purchase the whole XM Cloud Plus suite. Forms has been released a couple of months back, and it's available in both the places. And why do we choose XM Cloud? We know that it's in Azure and it has a flexible pricing. Because it's hosted in Azure, we know that it's like the uptime is like 99.9999. I don't know how many nines. It's like completely, we know that they take care of everything, and they provide the 24/7 support for the production servers. And based on the demand, you can scale up or scale down. If you have some Thanksgiving or Diwali or any of the festivals coming up, seasons are like, if you know that the traffic is going to hit the site, so then you can scale up, and then after the event is done, you can scale down. So it has, and the pricing is also based on like how much you use. So lot of benefits. I would strongly recommend going for it. What are the features? With this, I would like to give it to Bala.
Thank you, Madhu. Also, another thing I want to keep the group aware of this. We don't just want to go through the slides. If you have any questions, please feel to stop and ask us any point of time. We want to keep it more interactive and useful for everyone. So please feel free to ask any questions in the chat or unmute and talk yourself. So we'll start looking into the features. So the main foremost feature or the selling point for XM Cloud is automatic updates. So with XM Cloud, we are not looking into upgrades. There is a catch there. I will talk through that, but pretty much if they are pushing any new features, even for instance, Sitecore Forms was launched like a couple of months back. Overnight, it was just deployed and everybody got the new feature. So no more like, okay, I need to upgrade this or not. But also keep in mind, this is just talking about the SaaS platform alone. But if you're having a headless application, which is the way to use with it, let's take the forms example. In that case, they need to do if you need to use the forms, then you need to be on the latest headless version. So in that case, there is a little bit of upgrade that you would need on the head side. But since the platform, you don't have to deal with databases or do anything. Everything is automatically taken care of. Like Madhu was talking about, it's fully scalable since it's all an Experience Edge and it's all CDN. So it's highly scalable. So you don't have like any limitations on how much you can do, but there are some limitations on the bandwidth that you could use. Page speed and performance, since it's all an edge, spread out globally. So it's it has high speeds and the performance is much better. The next generation visual authoring is, they have the new pages, the Sitecore pages where you do all the editing. So it's a next generation new editing capability that is only available in XM Cloud. We do have dynamic personalization available with XM Cloud. Next one we have is site and page insights. So by default, XM Cloud comes with analytics engine built in, which takes care of like the basic site level analytics, like how many visitors you're having, what is the fall through rate, and each page also has its own level of analytics that you can look into. Built-in DevOps, so everything is already pre-configured. So you're not going to set up any pipelines or everything. Everything would be set up out of the box and given access to it. Global content delivery is handled by Experience Edge. Also, if you would like, this is like the first level. And also, if you would like, you can opt in for Netlify or other platforms to go with XM Cloud. Okay, let's talk a little bit on the licensing. A lot of people don't talk about this much, but to give you an idea what it takes if you license on the XM Cloud. It's all traffic based, so how much traffic your website is going to get, it is going to be based on that. In the past, if you're doing like XM or Sitecore XP, we used to be doing more like a domain limit, traffic limit. It's a multiple combination, but here it's purely traffic based. So which means that it opens up like you can have 100 different websites, even a site with like 2 pages or 3 pages, you don't really have to pay per domain. You're just going to pay with the overall traffic. Project based. So there are certain terminology we'll talk through. This project based is particularly you can see more like a solution that you will be deploying. It is just that single solution and how many other sites you can have within that solution. I will be showing that in the demo. When we talk edge, it's going to be the edge bandwidth. So it's going to be 1 terabyte per month per project. So if you have 50 sites in a particular project, then 1 terabyte is what you get with the edge bandwidth, but this can be increased. I'm saying like these are the base level basic license, but it can be increased according to the needs. Edge storage, again, it's going to be 5 gigabyte, and this is like a base, and then it can be increased. But they do have a content authoring limit. So how many authors you need to do, and I believe it starts with like 25 minimum, but it depends on the cost. If they can vary. Vercel or Netlify can be bundled, which means when we talk Vercel or Netlify, this is more going to be helping to host your head. So if you don't want to deal with another company and work with their enterprise agreement or something like that, you can bundle it within XM Cloud within the same licensing. They would be able to do it as one single license, and then they will be internally paying to Netlify. They could do that. And as always, they do have a standard support or premium support, whichever we prefer to choose. So basically the terminology, when we say there is an organization level, which is the top level, and then below that you will have different projects, which you can think about. Like, for example, you are building certain components, you can keep like project specific and a source code and a GitHub repository. So you can have multiple projects, and then environments are basically your development stage and prod. Typically you get 3 environments. And Experience Edge is nothing but CDN that has been branded, and they have certain functionality which are specific to Sitecore. Pages is more like the editing, the Sitecore pages that is used for editing capability. Component builder is where you can build your components on the fly, which is more like a front end as a service. So component builder, we will show it in the demo. It's a really cool product that can be used even outside of Sitecore XM Cloud. Personalize is the tool that's used for their personalization. And site and page insights internally uses CDP. So details. Okay, let's talk about limitations. What are the limitations here? The first and foremost limitation is there is no more content delivery server or identity roles. So for authentication, they are internally using OAuth that can be used. So there is no identity. And for content delivery, there is no more web database or content delivery server. Everything is being pushed directly into Edge, which is the CDN. It's the total different thing that makes them, it's much more scalable. Publishing will compute dependencies. There have been little bit updates recently on this, like last month they made a release, which had a significant improvement in the publishing. There were a few blogs around that. So earlier, how it would do is like whenever you're publishing a particular item, let's take XM or XP, we will just publish one item and then we are done with it. If we need any items, sub items, we will say like, I want all the sub items. But whenever you publish anything in XM Cloud, since everything is going into the CDN, so it needs to compute all its dependencies once and then push everything, like publish everything to the CDN. So it's not going to be like one item of publishing, only that item is being published. It does the compute the dependencies, what it depends on data sources or images or anything. It computes everything and pushes as a snapshot to the CDN. So the word snapshot is important here. The main reason is when you're publishing stuff, it takes a copy of what it is and then pushes to the CDN. So you cannot just say like, okay, I just updated this RT data component, let me deploy that or publish that. It needs to do all the competencies again. In the recent update, they have made something. So the main disadvantage of doing this is it will take a lot of time to publish things. For instance, sometimes it has taken like 15 minutes all the way to 40 minutes of things, depending on the site size. So in the recent update, they have made it more like a smart publish. When you do that, it's going to do only the changes that have been done, and only those items will publish, which we are used to in the past. So there is no search. Internally, it has something, but you cannot use like the Solar endpoints or whatever we exposed in the past. So there is no more search API or anything that you could use. The other way around, you would be using the GraphQL endpoints to do the search related things from your head application. So the GraphQL endpoints, what are the disadvantages of using that? The GraphQL endpoints has its own limitations. And again, there is a compute index number. So if you're doing like a complex query, there is a limitation on that and how fast it can push the data out. And the fifth one is limited personalization data. So with XM Cloud, if you go with the basic version, it gives only 30 days of data is being stored in personalized or CDP. And also you don't have access to either of the platform. So everything you have to do within XM Cloud. But if you in case have XM Cloud Plus, then it can extend the data limit. So there will not be a limit. But by default with XM Cloud, you will have only 30 days of data available. The next one is we don't have more modules. More like if you are having Coveo or any other packages, we cannot install them anymore in XM Cloud. So that's a different thing. Like it has to be public facing if you would like to use Coveo or search stacks or any other platform, even Sitecore Search themselves. Content migration, there is no DB support. In the past, we would be always doing a DB level upgrade and do things. But here, either you need to depend on serialization. But I did learn from one of the friends that you could do this in one way that when you're setting up your local instance, typically that connects back to your XM Cloud, but that's where you do the serialization push and pull. In that case, in your local instance, you can attach an existing database and you can move the content tree between the instances. So that's a hack that you could use if you are having huge amount of data and you don't want to do the serialization. Since it's all cloud-based and no deployment, so we will not have access to our old custom pipelines. So without custom pipelines, we have to do things.
So, Bala, a quick question. So,
yeah,
GraphQL has limits, right? Which means how many hits it has to be hit that limit, or like the search limit you said, the complex query.
The complex query is the limit I was talking about, but in general, you can hit the GraphQL endpoints in the
number
edge.
of n number of times, right?
Yeah, that you can do. The only thing is the complex query limit is what, like when you do the computancies, for example, if you're saying I want a template of this type within this folder, and you're adding more and more thing, then there is a computation complex query number that GraphQL computes.
Yes.
So that number has to be within a limit, like 100 is what I remember. But
Okay.
specifically with XM Cloud, I'm not sure on the number, but that limit applies for any GraphQL.
Okay.
But you can hit any number of times you want, and but it should be within the limits of the licensing, like we talked
Okay.
before, the 1 terabyte or whatever the transaction limit.
Correct. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. We'll go through the basic architecture here. We'll go from bottom up. So if you see there are content authors and marketers, they typically directly interact with the sites, components, pages, and Explorer. We'll go through all these things in the demo. And on the left, if you move, it is the developers. They need to interact with the environment. They typically use Sitecore CLI and use that to do it. And also they can use the same to access the projects or deploy the app back into the content management, where they will use the CLI to do the serialization, push and pull. And if you move to the left, the embedded personalization internally is supported by personalization CDP. But keep in mind in XM Cloud, if you cannot access personalizer CDP directly. It is behind the scenes. You can only access through XM Cloud portal, whatever is supported with the limitations. But if you have XM Cloud Plus, then they kind of open up personalizer CDP, then you can access it. And also keep in mind, you can move between XM Cloud or XM Cloud Plus in future as well. For example, I started as XM Cloud. In future, I want to move to XM Cloud Plus. Should I do an entire new environment? No, not really. You could just get the additional licenses and then start using the additional functionalities. If you go up a little bit, there is a search. So search, again, you can see the crawler sitemap as directly interacting with your head application. And then the same goes with the head application is internally talking to the Sitecore experience at CDN. So whenever in your XM Cloud, in the bottom gets published, all the published content, assets, layouts, everything gets published into the experience edge and eventually used by the Vercel app. And on the left, if you see all the Vercel app, anything you do in the front end, it's all flowing through as a web behavior back into the CDP and personalize. So that's how it will be able to help you with the personalization. Okay, what does the developer experience look like? So developer experience is mostly you have to do with the Docker. So they have those Git repositories you can get started. And the first and foremost thing is like Docker has to be connected back into your XM Cloud environment. So you will be doing a remote connect to cloud environment once it is lined up. Then it makes your Sitecore content serialization. You can do a push or pull between your environment and XM Cloud environment. Remote deployments are through commits. So whenever you make changes and you do a commit, and then you can push that code out. Everything is used through your Sitecore XM Cloud CLI. Okay, what does the transition path look like? Typically, if you're coming from an XP or XM world, like you would need to at least bare minimal transition to headless. So that's like a minimal requirement. And if you need to do headless, there are good tools like Kaju. Even recently, I saw they had a tie-up with Sitecore now. So it's much more like 70% efficient, and using AI, they're converting all your MVC or Razor components into headless to give you a head start. So rather you going and building everything from scratch, Kaju will help you transition over and quickly build your React components or Next.js components. The next one is if you're using, or we typically used to use Unicorn and TDS, then you need to be moving into the Sitecore serialization, SES. That will be for all your content serialization. The third one, you need to see all your XP features, what you're currently using, and what would be things that you would be missing, and then make arrangements. For example, if you're used to using the email marketing side of XP, then you might need to say like, okay, how do I transition over? Should I use Sitecore Send or MailChimp or something like other composable component that you can plug and play? So those kind of things. Also, plan for your integrations. If you have any integrations already working with your existing on-prem systems or Salesforce or different platforms, then probably you need to plan for that and way ahead of time. And everything with XM Cloud would be using webhooks, so you need to plan with that. Last one is forms migration plan. With your XM or XP, if you're using Sitecore forms, that is not compatible with forms that is launched with Sitecore XM Cloud. So you need to have a migration plan for that. How do we transition over? And also all your forms data would not be stored in XM Cloud either. So a little bit of planning is needed. At least I know few of our clients were using forms and we have to transition them over. Training and certification. So instructor-led training is there. It's really, really good. If you are able to afford or a company is sponsoring that, it would be the best way to get started. So they do have a business users and developer fundamentals. I personally have taken developer fundamentals. It was really good. That gave the brief understanding of how the platform works. And it's not just a theory, it's more like a practical session. They have all those labs and sessions that you need to do. So by end of this training, you'll be like end-to-end, like doing deployment, serialization, creating components, everything will be covered. If you can do it, they do have a good documentation. And then a self-paced manner, you can learn it yourself. And then there is XM Cloud certification available. Once you prepare yourself, you're feeling comfortable, then you can take the XM Cloud certification. It's demo time. I will hand it over back to Madhu.
Thank you, Bala. Just a second. Sorry. Thank you so much. Let me start sharing my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good, Madhu.
Awesome. So here is the Sitecore Cloud portal. Basically, when you log in, actually, this is how it looks. This is all admin portal, and this is where like you will manage all the cloud portals. But from here, like I took one of them, and once you open the app, this is how it opens. So this is basically nothing but a sites collection. So every day on a day-to-day basis, this is where content authors and everybody will be working on it. So we have like two different sites. Basically, there is an image over here, but for some reason, all the media library images aren't pulling up. But let's create a site from a scratch. So just going to create a site. So where you will see like two different sites, one with an empty site, one with an basic site, some built-in header, footer, and some of the things are already built in. So this is nothing but a starter kit. Basically, it comes from the XM Cloud Foundation head. So from here, basically, you can fork or however you wanted to do it. You can deploy to your own solution. So I just created my own demo site, and once you deploy it, this is how it comes in with all the basic components. So this is like a starter kit where we have done the Helix solution or Habitat, or it's like a simple faster to go. So let's go with a basic site and see how that looks. So I'm going to say SUG Coimbatore. And let's site identifier is optional. So I'm just going to go with the default one. And as you can see, the site is building, so it's going to take up 2 minutes. Let's come back in 2 minutes and see how that looks like. So meanwhile, I have created the site this morning to show demo case. So let's get into the site. So basically there is basically there is an image exist over here. So once you click it, it opens up a pages editor. So pages editor is completely new to XM Cloud. This is close to the content editor, but it has more capabilities. So let's build a demo page. Maybe I can delete this page. This was previously built in. Let me create a new page, and let me go with the one size lower. Okay, so the demo page has been created. So as you can see, the empty page has been there. So with the menu and header and footer, everything is here. So let's add some components. So here in the component section, there are some built-in ones, advanced built-in ones are available. We'll come back to this later. So the basic components are here. So maybe let's go with the title. Here is our title. So I just drag and drop, and within few seconds, the title will pop up with the default, with the the tokens, the dollar title. It's already there. If you wanted to change it, you can go for it. But by default, I'm just going to go with it. And maybe let's add some image. And here is our image for image component. And as you can see, this is our like Visual Studio where you can drag and drop the things from the tools similar to it. It's like super awesome. And within few seconds, you can build the page pretty quickly. So on the image, let's add an image. So some of the images are gone. Let's go with the welcome image. And you can see, you can change some styling. If you have a custom CSS, you can add some CSS over here. All the capabilities are over here. I'll just go with the simple image, and you can also drag and drop a rich text, and you can do the editing inline. It has all sorts of capabilities. And the page is ready to go. There is no need of save. Everything is in the cloud, and we can preview it in a desktop mode. This is how it looks, and we can also preview it in the tablet, how it looks like in the mobile, and the menu sections, everything. You can just like content author perspective, this is like awesome. They don't need to worry about going and individually checking for each devices, and the workflow is right here itself, and we can submit it for the review. We can say review please, and submit it, QA approval, and we can approve the product. Once validated, we can publish the page. This is where when it published the page, it goes to the edge. So from there, the front-end team can, through GraphQL, they can pull all the fields, everything, all the properties, everything through the GraphQL. So, and it has versions. You can create your own version. Uh, you can go with like any number of versions, and the languages. Similar to the content editor, we have all the capabilities. It's just differently put together. And we have like promo components, column splitter, row splitter. With this, you can see that the demo page has been published successfully. So it's already in the edge and ready to be pulled in the GraphQL. And let's look into the other site we have created. Oh yeah, it's already created. It's been 2 minutes. It's created, and we'll see the homepage. Because it's the habit. I mean, it's the starter kit, so it has all the default components and everything is all ready to go. As you add the page, the menu bar gets added. So it's like within few minutes you can build the page. Within an hour, I think you can build the whole site. So with this, I'll transfer to Bala. Let me stop sharing.
Hi, Madhu. I do have one question over here. So what would
Sure.
happen if two content editor are simultaneously working on a same page? Is there any, like in Sitecore, we used to have this log and edit
The
feature.
lock.
Yeah. So
The lock. Yeah, I'm sure there might be a lock here. That's a good question. I think somewhere it should be there. It has created, modified by.
I believe it made it mostly with your custom workflows, you could achieve that behavior. Out of the box, it doesn't support the locking, but if you do the custom workflows, then you can lock and edit.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. Let me stop sharing. And
Okay, able to see it?
yes.
Okay, perfect. So let's start with the portal. So once you go to the portal, this is more like my organization level. So all the apps are there trying to bring everything into portal. So in this case, I have two different organizations. The one we were walking through are the XM Cloud demo. So if you remember the terminologies I talked through, this is the organization level. And then if you go into the organization level, and this is where your project comes into picture. So this is your project level, and this is your environment name. In this case, it is just a local, so you can switch between dev, stage, and prod. This is more like a partner instance. That's the reason you don't see all 3 different environments. So you have all the different sites are available within. Refresh, so I should see the. So we do have that. And then if you go into the tools, you will see all the XMXP. This is more like familiar view for us. And if you go into the site settings, we have this default site identifier. So when Madhu was creating the site, if you notice there was a site identifier, this is this is internally needed for your personalized information. So what brand, what market, and what is the timeout? This is your session timeout. So if you use this identifier, if you're on a website, after 40 minutes is when your session times out. So going back into this sites, another thing I want to go is, you go here into the settings. So here you do have the design explorer and settings, rename, all the basic stuff. You go into settings, this is where you give your site name, and then you have your root item ID. You can see all the grid, basic templates, SXA managed, Madhu created it. You go into the identifier. At the moment, we don't have anything, so you could just create one and then say default. And then you can say what is the default brand or anything, and then hit save. In this case, I gave a 30-minute timer. This is important. Without this, the analytics data will not work. So keep in mind, so once you set up the site, you need to set this up or pick the existing ones. Go to developer settings. You have the CDP target, CDP client key, the JSS app name, what you need to build your head. And then this is your point of sale, which is the POS, which is really needed for your CDP and personalized to work. Then you can hit the generate API key, and that key you can use. And this is your GraphQL endpoint, what you need to tie up with. So these are some basic level settings. Let's get into the tools. We'll go from certain things which are new, pages. They did walk through. So if you go inside, there are a few things on the left. If you see, there are templates, which is our basic Sitecore templates. And also you do have the page design and partial designs. Page designs is your entire template layout that you can go and edit. In this case, I can click on edit. This is your page template, sorry, the page design. And then internally you have this partial designs that are part of this page. So if I go back, I go into the partial designs, you do have the header and footer. If you want to edit that, then you click on that. The header is here, navigation, everything is being added here. This is all like the basic SXA functionality that we use. We did go through the data templates and moving on to the personalize. So if you take any page, then you can create multiple different variants. One thing to be aware of, what is different between XM and XP here is, in XM or XP, you would take any particular component and then you can personalize that particular component. But it's a little bit different in XM Cloud. If you want, you need to create a variant. Variant is not just particular component, it's basically the entire page. So if you want this particular thing with a variant, then, for example, let's do a variant test. Variant. Next. So the next thing you would choose is like, what is the audience we are looking? Is it time of the day or location, or you could do a lot of conditions here. So when I click on that, you can see time of day, point of sale. This is the one POS I was saying, like you can use XM Cloud for your website, also for your Android or iOS app, or kiosk in your office or something. So each will have its own point of sale. That's the reason we use it. And here you can have country, region. So here I can say, if the visitor is from India, then do this. And then you do have a day of week, month of visit, UTM value, which is from your GTM if you're using that, and who's the referrer. A lot of other options are available, some basic level options, I would say. And also you can see this is a new or returning visitor. number of page views. Let's hit that save. Let's close this one. So you have the test variant now. You can see this rich text is not personalized. Once you click on that, you can say like, I don't want to show this in this particular variant, or you can change a particular content. In that case, then it will show that it's personalized now. So each one of those components, if you want, then you need to have different variants and then do it, or have one variant and then you can play with the personalization. This, you can see the component is hidden in this particular variant. So if you go back to another variant, then you will be seeing that and it will say like it's not personalized. Moving on to the analysis. So this is the one we are talking about. It has the site level insights and page level insights. At the moment, this is just created, and also the limitation that we were talking about. It has only 30 days of data available here, so you cannot go beyond that unless you have the XM Cloud Plus. And all the analytics or personalization, whatever I showed you here, is what you get. You will not have access directly to the Sitecore personalized or Sitecore CDP to go and check this data or anything unless you have XM Cloud Plus. Okay, moving back to the screen here. Let me close this down. So the next one is components. Components is where you create a new component directly on the platform itself without, it's more like a low code, no code. So let's click on add component. You can give it a name. Then I could put it in content, for example. Let's do that. You can click on start editing, and quick example or whatever I learned, I would quickly show you that. So site.com. If you can see this whole banner here with this whole look and feel, we were able to exactly replicate this component in less than 30 minutes or so. Exact same look and feel with the button and thing. So if you go here, this gives you the whole grid. So you could choose a particular section, and then you can say, I want to add an element. So you could just drag, you could just add an image. Then you can just click on that. It just comes as an image. So in this case, I want to do a button here. I can click and add. Do they have the button now? Maybe I'll do a HTML block here. So you can see this way, and this one you can just do it on like extra large or in different sizes and see how it behaves and how you want. You can move things around. And then you can also stage this one. So every time you do this, you need to stage, and you have to say stage, and then you need to publish this component. One other thing is this is front end as a service. So whatever component you build here can be used in outside of Sitecore. So it generates a script that you can internally use that script into any of, for example, I want to take this component with the data source, everything in Sitecore, but I want to display this particular banner section within my WordPress app or something else, then you could do that. Or within your own Android or iPhone application, you could do that. So this is something new, and this gives a lot of ability. For example, if you think in our regular cycle, if a client comes and asks, hey, I need a banner like this, it's going to be at least a sprint, and through the deployment is when you can push these changes. But think about giving an ability to the authors, like for a one-off component, they don't want to build it from scratch through the development team. They can come and build and design everything here, and then immediately like it's available. So for example, once that is completed, let's go back to the home screen. Go to the tools, and then go back to the pages. Go to the demo page, new page. Oh, it's okay right here. Sorry. So the components will be available. So where did we put that in? testing component here. So I could immediately go and use that component. So this gives a lot of flexibility. I didn't make it pretty, but this we were able to entirely build this component in less than 30 minutes. Same look and feel as long as you have the images and everything. Okay, that's about this one. Let's go back. Tools, and the next one is like, let me keep the screen open. So the Explorer is more like a utility where you would see all your sites. At the moment, you can see we did talk through that. Right now, it doesn't have like the basic workflow, but if you have custom workflows, then all the details would be available here. What is the state? More like a workflow explorer where you can see what are the items and what workflow state all in one place on different sites. Moving on to the experience editor, this is something everybody is aware of. So I opened it, let it be there. Take some time, and then moving on to the forms. We go to the forms here. We'll take the demo form. So create a new form. This is the suite. Oh, come on, really? Let me use this one. I'm extremely sorry. I'm not sure why is it not working. For some reason, it's not letting me do Okay, I'm sorry I couldn't, but this forms, when you try to edit, it's going to be more like your pages where you can drag and drop all the components you want, add conditions. Apologies, I couldn't show you that. But the idea behind this, if you go build the form, and then you come back here and you need to create a webhook. So there is no more forms database, so none of your data gets stored within Sitecore. So you have to store it in an external system. So when you submit the form, there is a webhook option. You need to choose which webhook. And then eventually when you go into this webhook, you can see, for example, I have put it as a no authentication, but they do have basic authentication and other details. And then what is the name and what URL you want to push the data. So basically it will push the form fields as a JSON. And then in your webhook, for example, if you host it in Azure Function Apps or something like that, then you can pick the data and then eventually store it in SQL or NoSQL, whatever you plan to use that data or push it into another system. So that's how the webhooks work. Moving on to the styles. So they do have a default styles. For example, you can see this. Each of the fields and all the colors and everything, you can customize it. And then if you have different brands, then you might have like different themes that you can create specifically for forms and then eventually use it. And also the forms can be consumed outside the XM Cloud as well. I don't think it's just here. With certain scripts, you could pull the forms, like use the forms outside the system as well. So let's see. Finally, it loaded halfway through. This is the experience editor. It was opening. Forms going back. Back to the home. I wish I could show forms, but at least I will talk through that. In forms recently, they came up with this. Earlier, there were not condition logics. So something that new they came up with, if a particular field data is available, or you want to hide a field, or you want to make it required or mandatory, those kind of conditions you could do. And also you could do multiple pages. There was a couple of presentation that Jamie and Mike Reynolds did recently that is available in our user group video specifically targeted towards forms. If you're really interested to look into it, please watch that video. It has a full detailed demo on how this works and connecting it back into Slack and webhooks and things like that. So it would be good to see. I think that's all we have on basic stuff. You can see the rest of all, I don't want to go through it. It's all the basic XMXP that we have used to. It does come with PowerShell SE PowerShell extensions that you could use, and the rest all is the same. So with that, we will give you some time for discussion if you have any questions.
So if you have any questions, please do click on chat.
I hope the session was useful to give you some idea on basics. I know it's not in too much detail, but at least we want to clarify certain areas like licensing and limitations, which a lot of people don't talk through. So thanks everyone for joining us today, and it's been a pleasure.
Yes, Balaji, it was a very useful session, and this has a core knowledge about whoever wants to start their journey on the XM Cloud.
Mhm.
So thanks a lot for the topic, and Madhu, thanks for your time and
No
taking us
worries.
through the session.
Thank
Thanks,
you all for the
everyone.
great opportunity.
Yeah, thanks all for joining. So we'll be sharing this recording session on our YouTube channel. So for more sessions, please do follow our LinkedIn page. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bala.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Madhu.
Thanks.
Bye.
Madam.